up? A Cinema Shogun here with a Gabby Petito update for you all. Yes, that is right. I haven't forgotten about the Gabby Petito story. And like I've told you all, like I've promised you all, I will be here with every single update from the story. We know that Gabby Petito's family filed a lawsuit against the Laundries, but then the Laundries filed for a dismissal to basically get this case dismissed. So the judge decided that this will go to a jury trial if, and only if, the Petitos are able to revise their lawsuit and, work on a few key details that would make this actually go through. Now, we don't know what's going to happen yet, but we do have an update. They did revise the lawsuit. They actually filed an updated lawsuit against Brian Laundrie's parents, and there were some changes made. The parents of Gabby Petito have filed an amended lawsuit claiming that Brian Laundrie's parents went on vacation with their son while knowing he had murdered 22-year-old Petito and refused to disclose the location of her remains. Joe Petito and Nicole Smith originally filed a lawsuit against Chris and Roberta Laundrie in March. Judge Hunter W. Carroll noted a perceived procedural deficiency in that suit, so attorneys for Schmidt and Petito made revisions as expected. The lawsuit continues to claim that Brian Laundrie's parents knew all along that their son murdered Petito and sought to help him flee the country. Stephen Bertolino, the longtime lawyer for the Laundries in New York, has called the allegations baseless. While the updated lawsuit does contain some noteworthy changes, it unsurprisingly remains absent of evidence to back up the allegations made against the Laundries. They'll have to wait and see, said Petito and Schmidt attorney Pat Riley when asked about the evidence. If we didn't believe it was true, we wouldn't have put them in the complaint. Here are 6 notable changes made in the amended lawsuit. Laundrie's September trip to Fort DeSoto Park. This is number 1. The lawsuit has been changed in regards to the Laundrie's family's camping trip taken in early September at the Fort DeSoto camping ground after Brian returned home without Gabby. It now claims the family went on vacation not only aware Brian had murdered Gabby, but also with the knowledge of where Petito's body was located, as a multi-state search effort was being conducted for her whereabouts. While Gabby Petito's family was suffering, the Laundrie family went on vacation to Fort DeSoto on September 6th through the 7th, 2021. They went on vacation knowing that Laundrie had murdered Gabby Petito. It is believed that they knew where the body was located, and further, knew that Gabby Petito's parents were trying to locate her, the suit says. Number 2, beyond outrageous statement from the Laundries. In an added section to the lawsuit, Petito and Smith say a statement claiming the Laundries were hopeful for the search for Gabby would be successful was beyond outrageous. The statement in question comes from September 14th, which is before Gabby's remains were found in Wyoming. I remember this statement very well. It is our understanding that a search has been organized for Miss Petito in or near Grand Teton National Park in Wyoming. On behalf of the Laundrie family, it is our hope that this search for Miss Petito is successful and that Miss Petito is reunited with her family. Absolutely despicable. These people knew she was dead at this time. The revised lawsuit singles out this comment and the word hope. For the Laundries to express their hope that Gabby Petito was located and reunited with her family at a time when they knew she had been murdered by their son was beyond outrageous, the suit says. Number 3, Laundrie's contact with law enforcement. In Section 28 of the lawsuit, law enforcement has been removed from the mentioned parties that Chris and Roberta Laundrie allegedly refused to communicate with. Despite the fact that Joseph Petito and Nicole Smith implored Christopher Laundrie and Roberta Laundrie to tell them if their daughter was alive, and if she was not, where her remains were located, Christopher Laundrie and Roberta Laundrie refused to respond to either Joseph Petito or Nicole Smith, and then they crossed out law enforcement. So in their original lawsuit, it claimed that they refused to talk to law enforcement, but it turns out they were being cooperative with law enforcement, at least to a certain extent. You know, they said as much as they needed to. They didn't have to say a lot of these things, you know, due to that's just how the law works. Even though it sucks and it's absolutely disgusting, they legally weren't obligated to say as much stuff as we would have liked. Number 4, mental suffering and anguish of Gabby's parents. And I mean, you can only imagine. Section 31 of the lawsuit has been reworked to specify claims that the Laundries were aware of the pain and suffering Petito and Schmidt were experiencing through Gabby's disappearance. Christopher Laundrie and Roberta Laundrie knew of the mental suffering and anguish of Joseph Petito and Nicole Schmidt, and not knowing the well-being or location of their daughter, and further knew that such mental suffering and anguish increased each day that Gabby Petito was missing. The suit now reads, Christopher Laundrie and Roberta Laundrie further knew that they could prevent such additional mental suffering and anguish of Joseph Petito and Nicole Schmidt by disclosing what they knew about the well-being and location of the remains of Gabby Petito. Yet, they repeatedly refused to do so. In doing so, Chris Laundrie and Roberta Laundrie acted with malice or great indifference to the rights of Joseph Petito and Nicole Schmidt. Now, I agree with everything they're saying here. You know, I want the Laundries to be held accountable just as much as anybody. Probably more than most people, you know. But I just don't know how this is going to hold up in court. The fact that this was kind of, you know, sent away the first time and they were told they need to make revisions. And I'm looking through these revisions and I don't know if this is going to hold up, y'all. I'm really worried. And it's extremely frustrating, but I don't know if this is going to be able to hold up. But I mean, I'm fingers crossed that it does. But in my honest opinion, and if I had to just be completely honest with you all, and I feel an obligation to do that. You know, on my channel, even when things don't sound good or sound the way I know maybe most of my subscribers would like them to sound, I still have to be honest. And in all honesty, I want this lawsuit to work out in Gabby Petito's family's favor. But just going over this real quick, honestly, I'm not sure if it will. I'm not sure if this won't just be dismissed again. But we'll see. Fingers crossed. Extreme and outrageous conduct by the Laundries. Section 32 of the lawsuit has been amended as a summation of the lawsuit with 5 specific allegations that the attorneys for Petito and Schmidt argue is extreme and outrageous conduct that goes beyond all possible bounds of decency due to claims of actions that are shocking, atrocious, and utterly intolerable in a civilized community. The 5 allegations listed in the lawsuit now are: allegation of failing to inform Gabby's parents she was deceased. Number 2, allegation of failing to inform Gabby's parents of the location of her body. Number 3, taking a family vacation while allegedly knowing Gabby's parents were desperately seeking her whereabouts. Number 4, allegation of blocking access to their phones and Facebook page. Number 5, issuing a statement of hope while allegedly knowing Gabby was deceased. Now, all of these 5 allegations listed, I believe the Petitos here, you know. I believe that these allegations are true. I believe that these allegations make the Laundries look like absolutely terrible people. But I don't know if these allegations can equal up to the Laundries being held accountable, you know, in this lawsuit. I don't know. I mean, I don't know how this is going to work out. Number 6, separation of counts against Chris and Roberta Laundrie. The lawsuit's most procedural amendment is separating the counts issued by and against all parties as follows. Count 1, Joseph Petito v. Christopher Laundrie. Count 2, Joseph Petito v. Roberta Laundrie. Count 3, Nicole Schmidt versus Christopher Laundrie. Count 4, Nicole Schmidt versus Roberta Laundrie. The Laundries, through their attorneys, have repeatedly denied any wrongdoing. They are expected to file a second motion of dismissal. The revised lawsuit maintains several bombshell allegations against the Laundries, including new information about Petito's exact cause of death. If the lawsuit survives and attempts the dismissal, a jury trial has been set for the week of August 14th, 2023 at the South County Courthouse of Sarasota County, Florida. And this trial will be open to the public. Now, I mentioned before, if this trial does happen and if it is indeed open to the public, I may possibly show up. I might not be there for the whole trial, but I may possibly show up and do some content from the actual trial. I'm not sure yet. It all depends on what's going on in my life. This is so far away. I cannot make plans for August of 2023 right now. Who knows what's going to happen between now and then. But if this does happen and it is open to the public, there is a strong possibility that I will go and cover some of the trial from the actual trial if you guys would like. So if you would like that, let me know down in the comments below right now. But a little bit more about my feelings here. The main allegation that was made here was the fact that they not only knew that Gabby was deceased, but they knew where her body was. And instead of, telling anyone or seeming to care, they went on vacations. Gabby's parents basically claimed that while they were desperately searching for their daughter, the Laundries were sitting around a campfire making s'mores, fully aware that their daughter was not only dead, but knowing where her body was. And then they issued that statement saying, "We hope she's reunited." And that's just absolutely grotesque. When you know this girl is dead, and you're still holding out hope for this family, you're giving out false hope, even though you know that it's, the exact opposite. The Laundries never fail to put a bad taste in my mouth. I go weeks on end without talking about the Laundries or Gabby Petito because the story, for the most part is over, although we have this lawsuit going on. But every time I think about the Laundries, it's just, man, they're just despicable people. And the one thing I will say that did come out of all of this Gabby Petito stuff is this is when I really started connecting with a lot of you all. So I'm hoping and praying that this works out in the Petito's favor. I'm just not so optimistic that it will. And that's not me trying to take the Laundrie side in any of this. I'm just not fully aware of how the law works, to the fullest extent. I'm not sure how this will hold up in court. I do believe they have public opinion on their side. But I don't know how this will work out. But I think it's interesting. I think if this does go to a trial, it will be really interesting to see how it works out. And it will set a new precedent going forward. You know what I mean? But for now, we can only hope. And even if this trial does take place, like I said, we're still over a year away from it actually happening. And I hope that the Petitos prepare themselves for that. Because, when you lose someone that's close to you, there's a grieving process, there's a healing process. And having to go to court and go through this trial, it's going to open up a lot of those wounds. It's going to hurt. It's going to reopen a lot of wounds that you've been healing. And I think that it may just send them all the way back to square one. I feel like it may send them all the way back to square one. Although, maybe it will give them some type of closure if the Laundries could be held somewhat accountable. Like, if they could win this lawsuit against the Laundries, in their eyes and in the eyes of many, it would look like, well, at least, the Petitos kind of won in the long... They didn't... I can't say the word won. But at least something was done towards the Laundries, that they were somewhat held accountable. And if they could prove through a court of law that the Laundries were, basically did wrong, then maybe it will make the Petitos feel better. It will make me feel better, I can tell you that. But I want to know your thoughts about this down in the comments below. While you're down there, hit that thumbs up button, hit that subscribe button, ring that notification bell, and I'll talk to you on the next video.